Hi and welcome to Knit with Hannah. I'm Hannah, I'm here with Knitting Natter to help you knit with ease, confidence and joy. We're talking baby knitting again. Mishaps happen when we're knitting for anybody. They can feel more subtle when we're knitting for baby, and there is that fact just kind of gnawing at you possibly that this is the first gift you're going to give to a person in their life. They may be 12 days old, 3 days old when you gift that, but you want it to be right. And in many cases, you want that item to last for many years. The first is the big one. The baby is larger than expected, or it's growing very quickly. Now, all babies grow very quickly. Let's just put that out there. But some babies are born and they're larger than expected. You know, your average baby is what? 7.5 pounds, something like that. And as soon as it gets larger and larger and larger, they're not wearing newborn clothes anymore. You know, maybe for a week. And then as soon as 2 weeks have gone by, they need the 3-month clothing. If you've already knitted something that's supposed to fit, what are we going to do about it? Well, there's a fun option that you could start with, and that is get yourself a teddy bear that's kind of newborn size and put the cardigan on it. Put the tank top on it. That tank top on that teddy bear could be the love of that child's life. I knitted a tank top for my own teddy bear when I was about 16 or 17 because I love that teddy bear, because it was losing its arm. So I just knitted something that kind of like enclosed the seam. And it's, I'm not ashamed to state I still have that teddy bear. It's in a box, let's put it like that. But, oh my goodness, I've always loved it. But one of the most things I love about it is the fact that it's wearing this tank top that I knitted. The thing is, I want to keep the tank top. And if it wasn't on the teddy bear, then I wouldn't have its purpose, and it wouldn't show how amazing I was at that age to knit something just off the cuff like that. So you can definitely knit something. It will be too small, but find a teddy bear that it fits. Shouldn't be too difficult. You just go to a toy store or something like that at the weekend. You can try it on a few teddy bears and you'll find something that it fits well enough. Roll the sleeves up, something like that, and you're sorted. So the next option is, of course, to save that newborn gift for another baby. Babies keep coming. There may even be another baby in that family. That newborn hat, those newborn clothes will work for that baby. You can spend a couple of evenings just dedicating yourself to knitting either another cardigan or another couple of hats that will fit. I always knit hats for newborns that are too big anyway. It's just who I am. I generally give them one newborn hat and then I give them a couple of 3-month hats. And then they'll be wearing the 3-month hats anyway because they're just that kind of dopey, slouchy, beanie kind of style. And they're quite happy with that. But nonetheless, there's no reason for you to sit there and just say, I'll spend an evening knitting a hat. And I'll spend another evening knitting another hat. They're small items. They're not going to take you a long time. If you need to spend a week, it doesn't matter at all. So if the baby is growing too fast or it's too large, just dedicate yourself some time. Kind of stick it in your calendar and say, that's what I'm doing that night. I'm going to focus on it. And you know you could get that done because the idea of giving them a knitted gift is so important to you. The other option is to go to the leftover knits video that I showed with you last week. That has got lots of ideas for very small knits. So you can knit some small knits and you can just kind of give them to them over the next couple of weeks, or just knit a pile over a week and they can have, you know, maybe a pile of washcloths, all sorts of things. They will use actually for longer. They'd be ideal for that baby just as much as they would be for a newborn sized baby, you know, as for this larger baby. What happens if you run out of yarn sooner than you think? You can't get the same shade or dye lot. Now, this can happen with knits that aren't baby knits as well, obviously. So just remember these tips too. So I showed you actually last week, I've still got it here, my knit that I'm making with multiple colours. I just fancied it, it just felt right, so I had a go. I mean, it's interesting, it's a colour blocked blanket. Babies are not fussy, they're not going to sit there and go, those stripes don't match, what are you doing? You can do this on all sorts of knits, you could do this on a cardigan. If you actually realise that you're going to run out of yarn before you've finished the main body. I mean, substituting yarn for a baby knit, substituting yarn for any knit, it's about the yardage and the size of needle. It can be so complicated to substitute. And if you feel that you've got it wrong and you know you're running out, then knit the sleeves in different colours. Just use the main colour for the cuffs to just kind of feed it in so it all feels like it's meant to be together. And you're there. So the cardigan can definitely work with different coloured sleeves. The tank top can work with a one colour back and one colour front. That sort of thing. Just make it work. And like I said, the baby's not going to mind. The parents are going to say, cool, that's a bit of fun. I'll actually choose that one to wear more often because I love it so much. The other thing is to change what you're knitting. So if you've set your heart on knitting a cardigan, make it a short sleeve cardigan. Or a tank top. That sort of thing can work. If you're knitting a baby blanket and you run out of yarn, make it a smaller baby blanket. The parent's not going to know. They're going to say, cool, that's perfect for a car seat. That's perfect for a buggy. I won't use it in the cot because by the time it's 2 years old, it won't fit anymore. And then that will be the lamp blanket that the child uses when they're reading, sitting on the bed later in life. All of those things can work. You just have to get it in your head that you can say, I'll cast off sooner. That's okay. I'm allowed that. I can do that, no problem. How about odd socks as well? If you're running out of yarn and you know you're knitting with leftovers, that's one of those things. And you realise, I thought I had enough for 2 socks, I've only got enough for 1. Well, maybe knit the cuff in a different colour, then use that colour for the bottom of the sock, and then mutate. So you've got odd socks. My nephew actually wears odd socks. He can't be bothered with sorting them out. He just puts on 2 socks and it works. But he kind of picked that up from my brother. But, you know, just go with what works. Odd socks are fun. Again, it's another novelty. And I honestly don't think they're going to be judged for having a child in odd socks. No. Parents don't have the time to match up socks. That's what mothers-in-law are for. They come round and they tidy up the washing of the baby in the first 2 weeks. But, yeah, that's fine. You can knit odd socks, you can knit odd sorts of things, all sorts of things. So if you're running out of yarn, make it work. Get it round your head that that's okay. Okay, so let's talk about the next one. The next one is that the baby comes sooner than expected. And this is when the parents actually need a lot of care themselves, and they need support in the first few weeks as well. It might be in premature baby unit, all sorts of things can happen, so they need extra support. So one of the things you can do is always have a premature baby pattern book. I have a knitting pattern book dedicated to premature babies. Got it a few years ago when a friend of mine actually had a cesarean because she had triplets and needed to come early. So they all came out and she was kind of stuck. Her mum started knitting stuff, I started knitting stuff, and we just threw it all at her. Obviously, for triplets, she needed a lot of stuff. So that's one thing you can do. Get your premature baby knitting book out and start knitting. Hats, scratch mitts, socks, and cardigans, romper suits, all sorts of things. You can just knit through them. Because they're small, you're not using much yarn, they will be quick knits. You could knit something in an evening and then start giving it to them as you knit more. These things can be really helpful for the babies. The hospitals do have things to give to the parents as well, but just as they're starting out, and especially if they're in a baby unit, hats will be what they want. So they can have hats that they would recognise as their own, and you could definitely start knitting them too. The other thing, if they do have a premature baby, actually ask them what they need, and you can go and buy stuff, especially if they haven't purchased things for themselves yet. So that's an option too. If they need things, they're kind of feeling desperate, then buy them a gift, and then you can knit something for a 3-month birthday, something like that. And that will feel good to them. Wow, we've made it to 12 weeks. It's a good feel kind of knit. You'll know the love that goes into that just as much as if it was a baby that's who's been born at full term. The love that goes into that knit would be just as much. You can definitely make that kind of knit and gift it, and the parents will appreciate it just as much. So those are the options you can just grab hold of for when you have a premature baby in the family, or one of your friends needs knitty support with a premature baby. The next one is a mishap when you're knitting. Big mistake in the pattern, you're sitting there, you're knitting and everything goes wrong. What do you do? This is going to be mindset tricks as well. Remember, you're using very little yarn. You're knitting very small items. How much time did it actually take you to knit that item? You can unravel half of it if you need to. You can unravel the whole thing if you need to. You can unravel a couple of inches. You can knit that up. You can catch it up quite quickly. Not that many stitches, not that many rows, not that much yarn. Realise if you're knitting a jumper for an adult or a large adult, then it will feel a lot worse unravelling a couple of inches because you've made a mistake. This is for a baby. It's going to be small. Don't worry about it. The other thing, babies are not knitting experts. Neither are they knitting police. They'll likely have outgrown this item in a few months anyway. If it doesn't make it the wrong shape, if it doesn't make it have holes in the wrong places or anything like that, then the mistake probably doesn't matter. A lot of the time, we as knitters think, oh no, that's a massive mistake. Everyone's going to notice it. But because we're so focused and we are very careful of the pattern and we're actually aware of what the pattern should do, when we go aside from the actual pattern, then we notice it. Don't worry. Nobody else is going to notice. And like I said, that baby is not going to grade you on the item that you've knitted. So yeah, perspective is what we need when we're knitting for baby, and a mistake might happen in the pattern. I think the biggest lesson from all of this, and the biggest lesson I've learnt over the years when knitting for baby, is to plan ahead. Last year, baby was coming. Actually, they came in January. I knew that was happening. It could have been in December. We just never know with this kind of thing. I started knitting in August. That's okay. It meant that it was ready, and I posted it to the expecting family in November. It was in the drawer. It was ready. They were nesting. It was all ready for the new baby. And that's exciting to know, oh, phew, that's all organised. And it probably, quite likely can be, but be a bit overwhelming if all these gifts suddenly arrive within the first week of the baby being born. And, I haven't got time to think about opening gifts. What are you doing to me? So that kind of thing can actually really help planning ahead, not only for you as a knitter, but for the people who are receiving this item as well. Now, if you want to join the knit along, we are knitting the Four Corners knit along. And guess what? I bet a lot of those knitters are sat there going, I I do not have a baby about to appear, but I want to have one organised and ready to give to the next parents who need a baby gift. So that's ready and waiting for the next baby that comes along. I was getting to a point where I thought, oh, I'm never going to have to knit something, not until my nephews and nieces have kids. But guess what? Last year I knitted something for a baby. This year I'm knitting something for a baby. It's all starting to happen and it doesn't seem to stop. So definitely keep doing that. Planning ahead is really helpful. Join the knit along. The kits are still, if there are any left, I'm filming this ahead of time, I'm planning ahead. If there are any left, then there is still time to get them. We start this weekend on the 18th. So place your order today if you know you want a kit, and I will post it. And you can get it before we get started. But yeah, there may not be any kits left. There is the option of joining with the digital pattern, and there are details, of course, about which yarn you need. Aran or worsted weight yarn. We are knitting with One in the Gang Shiny Happy Cotton. 4 different colours. You can use the colourways that I suggest, or you can just pick 4 colours, or you can knit the whole thing plain if you like, just knitting through 4 balls of yarn. That's an option as well. There are a few places out there that dispatch very quickly. So if you want even to order with next day delivery, then they can have it to you as well. So if we don't have kits available, then you can go to your stash or you can order the yarn quite quickly and easily online. You need to join before Friday at 3 p.m. UK time. That is 17th of March. We start on Saturday morning. So yes, we're all getting ready this week and diving straight in at the weekend. I will leave the link in the description so you can join the knit along, and all the details are there once you've clicked on the link in the website. I will see you next week. I'm stopping for a spring break. God, doesn't that sound fun? I'm stopping for a break as we finish the winter season, and we'll start the spring season in April. I'm not exactly sure of the dates as I film this, but I'm going to take a 2 or 3 weeks break and then I'll be back. But I think there's 1 more week of videos. Yes, I think there is. I will see you next week. Thank you so much for joining me today. Bye for now. Happy knitting.